How's that?
There you go.
Yeah,
Hi,
it was.
Emily.
That's
Hey,
strange.
Becky. Hey, Dave.
Hey,
Hi, guys.
Good to see everybody.
Um,
Let's see who else shows up.
there you are. Stephanie will not be on today. She is in San Jose. Her sister is not well and is thinking of putting her on hospice.
Oh, I'm sorry to
Um,
hear that.
so
But
yeah,
we'll
she's
be praying for her,
yeah,
and uh,
absolutely.
and uh, she'll have the recordings sent to her, so she'll have all the notes and the recordings.
Okay, great.
So hopefully the notes are helpful too, because after you go through the Bible study, you don't have to
Mm-hmm.
sit down and write so many notes. You'll have all the
Yep,
information there.
right. That's what I like about it.
Okay,
Mm.
give it a couple more minutes, and Matthew should be here shortly. He told me he set several alarms so that he wouldn't miss our Bible study.
I do that too.
I do that too.
Yeah, if I forget, I get sidetracked or you get on the phone with somebody and they're like, "Oh no,
oh
And
yeah.
here's Ellie.
hey, Ellie, hi, Ellie,
Hey. What should we say?
Eliana."
Aunt Ellie. No,
Are
again.
you an aunt now again?
Christy, her older sister, just had a baby girl.
Aw,
Yeah.
love little girls. They're my favorite.
So she's got one of each now.
Yeah,
Aw,
I got
how
to
sweet.
hold her yesterday. She's really tiny.
Aw,
How much did she weigh at birth?
About 7.5 pounds.
Well, that's pretty big for a girl.
that's the
Yeah,
average. That's both of mine are
she
average
eats a
size.
lot.
Yeah, there is too. Hungry little thing, right?
Yeah, it's the best.
Yeah, that's
How's
so
your other
sweet.
sister doing in New Mexico?
Mm, she's good. She's spending time with her husband. Um, her baby's still growing. She's gonna give birth in December, but yeah, I think she's doing all right.
Nice.
Oh, your family
Well,
just
so
keeps
what?
on growing and growing and growing.
Yeah. What'd she name her baby? The little girl.
Alina.
Oh, Alina. That's adorable. Alina, I like
Thank you.
that. That's so cute. Yeah.
Oh, okay. There's
Okay.
Danny. He's coming in, and
Yeah,
hopefully,
that's nice.
hey, Daniel.
Hi,
Hello, hi everybody.
Good to see you.
hi, Daniel. Yeah.
We're just going to give it another minute or so to see if Matthew shows up, which he should be showing up here shortly, and then we'll open up in prayer and then we'll get going.
All right.
How are things going for you, Danny?
It's going well. Pretty good day today. Hi, Liana. Yeah, everything's good. How are you?
Good. It's been a good week, a busy week.
Mhm. How's
No sooner than
Patricia
I
doing?
finish, no sooner than I finish teaching one class and grading papers, I'm ready for like the next class. No time to be
Patricia
bored.
doing good? I'm gonna get that in there. Is Patricia doing well?
She's doing a lot better. She's doing a lot
Yeah.
better, and physical therapy is really helping her out a lot.
Okay. Yeah, I figured that would really help. Usually it does.
And we're very
Yeah.
fortunate that our medical coverage is covering all of the things that she needs.
Mhm.
So that's a good
Yeah.
thing. Okay,
Yeah,
while
here
we're
they
waiting for
come.
Matthew, let's open up in prayer.
Okay.
Heavenly Father, I just ask that you would bless this time together, that you would pour out comfort and healing to Stephanie and her family, that you would ease Stephanie's sister's burden, that she would be aware of your hand on her life, and that you would ease all suffering for her sister, and that she would have compassion and dignity as she gets ready to start hospice. Lord, we put all of this and all of our needs and cares in your hands. We ask again that you would bless this time of study, that you would take all obstacles out of people's way so that they could join us in this study. And we ask this in all things in Jesus' glorious name, and we all say, Amen.
Mhm.
Okay.
Are you sure he set his alarm? Maybe we should call him. So where are you?
Oh, he's not going to make it tonight's study.
Uh,
Okay. Something must have come up. And then he'll explain later why he can't make it. Okay. So now we know.
good. Mm.
Okay, we'll be in Ecclesiastes chapter 10. And let me see if I call up that PowerPoint. And hopefully everybody can see that okay.
Yep, I see it.
Ecclesiastes 10, practical wisdom. Ecclesiastes 10, verses 1 through 7. Dead flies putrefy the perfumer's ointment and cause it to give off a foul odor. And so does a little folly to one's respected for wisdom and honor. A wise man's heart is at the right hand, but a fool's heart at his left. Even when a fool walks along the way, he lacks wisdom, and he shows everyone that he is a fool. If the spirit of the ruler rises against you, do not leave your post, for conciliation pacifies great offenses. There is an evil I have seen under the sun. As an error proceedeth from the ruler, folly is set in great dignity. While the rich sit in a lowly place, I have seen servants on horses, while princes walk on the grounds like servants. Now, there's a lot of idioms, and figures of speech in this. So, for the benefit of everybody, I created slides that talk about the actual idioms and figures of speeches. In this one, we have dead flies in the ointment. Just as a single decomposing fly can ruin a jar of masterfully crafted perfume, a tiny careless act of foolishness can completely ruin a lifetime of hard-earned wisdom and good reputation. You also have to understand, too, that don't think of an ointment the way we think of ointment
Mhm.
in our or perfume in our day. You have to understand what it would have meant thousands of years ago to a Bedouin culture. These were these ointments had comforting medicinal purposes. They also had like hygienic and refreshing purposes, so that after one spent the day walking around in sandals in the desert, the idea of having their feet washed and then um, lotion put on them, or if you were sick, they would put on an ointment with like vapors to be able to make you feel better and comforted and so forth. So they considered an ointment a lot differently than the way we do. But nonetheless, the idiom is about how just a little bit of something can spoil the whole. It's kind of like
Mhm.
it only takes
And,
one rotten apple to spoil the whole bunch.
right.
So points to ponder. Wisdom is often nullified by a ruler's impulse or capriciousness. It only takes a little folly to wipe out the value of wisdom. Have you ever noticed that? You could do 1,000 things right, and it only takes one, oh shucks, to wipe out all
Yep.
the good that you've done. And how many things in history have we seen go sideways because somebody who is in power acted impulsively? We see that both in modern times and we also see that sometimes in history. So, how can
Mhm.
wisdom protect us from danger?
You just know the right thing to do in that point in time. The wisdom that you have keep you safe. You know what's coming up.
Hmm.
Stay out of the way.
You know, there's an old expression that says, "Look before you leap."
Yeah.
I wish in my youth, I wish I would have actually understood that a lot better. I did a lot of leaping without looking, and it doesn't work out well.
Nope.
Do foolish people sometimes pretend to be wise
All the time. Yes.
without being politically
Mhm.
motivated? Just look at our Congress and Senate. When we
Right.
said, "Do foolish people sometimes pretend to be wise?"
Mm.
Uh, or listen to some of the commentary that we get in news media, various stations and kinds and channels and so forth.
Yep.
Um, but quite often, we could have foolish people walking like right alongside wise people. They pretend to be wise. They're going in the direction that they think that everybody needs
Mm.
them to be going in, but they don't have a clue. This is an interesting thing. How should we respond to the anger of rulers? Now, understand Solomon was talking about the anger of like monarchs, of people with like absolute power over people. But
Mhm.
there's still an application for us that we can find today. Um, Sometimes railing against anger, it may be the right thing to do, but it can often sometimes be an unwise thing to do.
Uh,
So, in other words, sometimes it's just a lot easier to see if it'll blow over rather than to be confrontational, which is not to say that we should be passive. That's not what the text is saying. But um, if you want to make somebody who's angry more angry, poke them and see what happens.
mhm. Yep.
And especially within the context here of somebody who has like absolute power, double down on your righteous indignation, and it can be very, very difficult.
Mhm.
So sometimes, do you think it's sometimes that when we encounter like angry leaders, that sometimes taking a step back and trying to be calm, do you think that that could be something that could help us?
Absolutely.
Some of the most
You have to
stupidest things
listen.
I've ever said in the course of my lifetime have been said in anger.
Yes. Yeah.
And once you let anger loose, it's like you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube after it's out.
So true. You just
So
keep going and
positions
going.
positions of power and influence are not always given to the best and brightest. How can we manage with foolish leadership?
Um, no, we have to. Like God says, we should still obey what their leadership says, but I think praying a lot in that situation would be better.
Yeah, we need to definitely pray for foolish leaders.
Yeah. I'm not,
Um,
not create a fight, but there's always those ones things you want to fight for.
and
But do it
sometimes, and
in
sometimes,
cool.
if you're in some kind of hierarchy, whether it's in a workplace in your business, or whether you're in the military, or whether you're just a citizen, sometimes there are people who are in positions of power, and we have a choice of how we engage them. For example, when I was in the Navy, I had served under officers that were exceptional, and I served under officers that were mediocre, and I served under officers that you wondered, how did these people ever get a commission? What was the Naval Academy even thinking about? But the thing about it is sometimes you have to respect the person in the position of authority for his title and position and not the person. So in other words, the person may not be the greatest person in the world, but he's in a position of authority, so you respect his office of authority. Kind of like and this is probably good to look at in our context of a representative government. We may have somebody in our representative government that's not the best person in the world, but we respect him because of his position. We don't get to, in the military, we don't get to pick who our commander in chief is, but we have a chain of command for a reason with checks and balances and everything we have. But so therefore, if you're on a ship, the captain on a ship is law. You don't get to elect who the captain is. Um, so good, bad, or indifferent, somebody has to be in charge and point the ship in the right direction. And I think that there's a lesson in that for us too, that people of power or influence, we can respect their position and authority, even if as a person they may not deserve it. I don't know if anybody else has had that kind of an experience with an employer or
Yep.
something like that. You know,
Always.
my employer might not be the most pleasant person in the world. He may be abrasive. He may be rude and crude, but I tolerate him not so much because he's right, but because he's the boss and he signs my paycheck.
Right.
So if he tells me that I have to wear casual clothes on Friday, I'm wearing, casual clothes on Friday. If he tells me that all the people in the office have to wear ties, I'm wearing a tie. Not because he's right or wrong or anything else, just because he's the guy who signs my paycheck.
Mm.
I think that's a lesson for a lot of people today, um, that think that they're owed something by their employers, and they're not. And, the person who signs your paycheck is entitled to a little difference, I suppose. But being calm and measured is always the right approach.
Mhm.
As soon as you're angry and antagonistic, people put up their uh their defenses and so forth. And it doesn't
Mhm.
matter if you're right or wrong if your boss says you're fired. You don't get a chance to like
Yeah.
live to fight another day. Let's go on though. Uh 8 and 11. He who digs a pit will fall into it. Now this is proverbial. Doesn't mean everybody who digs a pit falls into it. Generally speaking, there's a danger. Um, if you dig a pit that you could fall into the pit that you're digging. And whoever breaks through a wall will be bitten by a serpent. Again, proverbial and cultural. Hopefully, none of us have serpents in our walls. I don't know about the people in Arizona, but at least most part, that's not very, very common. But if you lived in a desert kind of society, vipers and snakes tend to try to find a place to get warm in the cold nights and to shade themselves from the sun. So he who quarries stones may be hurt by them, and he who splits wood may be endangered by it. If the axe is dull and one does not sharpen the edge, then he must use more strength, but wisdom brings success. A serpent may bite when it is charmed. The babbler is no different. Do you know how snake charming works? You realize that snakes are deaf. So when you see that snake charmer with the flute,
Yeah,
uh,
right.
the snake is not responding to the sound, but is responding to the movement of the flute by the snake charmer. And the snake charmer has to be keenly aware of how high the snake is, because how high the snake is related to the thrust of its bite, of how far it's going to go down and bite. I know we don't have many snake charmers here in San Diego, or maybe not even in your neighborhood, but I have
I
seen
do
the
have snakes.
practice overseas.
I have snakes if you want to borrow one for show and tell.
Okay.
I lost
Just as
one
long as
though.
you're
I
not one
couldn't
of
find
those
it.
people from Appalachia that believes in snake handling. We're not, that's a subject for a different day. There's a
Right.
whole bunch
No,
of charismatic people that believe handling poisonous snakes
yeah, I don't
is
have anything poisonous.
yeah, that's very scary. They think that that's a sign that they are saved and a sign of their faith.
That's
So
just
falling
crazy.
into your own pit. This idiom describes the consequences of malicious scheming. Someone who sets a trap for others will eventually get caught in it themselves. Sharpening the axe, a proverb for preparation. If a tool is blunt, you have to use much more muscle and effort to make it work. Taking the
Mhm.
time to prepare and sharpen your tools makes life and labor much more effective. Is our mind a tool?
Yeah,
Do our minds need to be sharpened?
absolutely.
And the time to sharpen your mind is not at the point where you need it, but is in
Right.
preparation. So you have to keep your
Absolutely.
mind sharp and and focused um and exercise before you actually need to have that sharpness of mind.
Right.
Timing is important. It's not enough just to be wise, but one needs to know when to put that wisdom into action. You could say the right thing at the wrong time. You may be right, but it was the wrong time to say it. So sometimes we need to put a filter on what we're saying.
Mhm.
Solomon lists some tasks which everyday routine in his day. Acting wisely can avoid falling into a pit, encountering a serpent hidden in a wall, have a large rock fall on you, or trying to split logs with your strength instead of the axe. What are some routine tasks today that require wisdom to avoid harm?
Driving. Driving.
Driving.
Yeah.
That's good. We could be more specific too. How about fastening your seatbelt?
Yeah.
Putting on a
Yeah.
motorcycle helmet before you get on your motorcycle. How about making sure your car has gasoline in it, uh, closer to a full tank than running on empty and fumes?
I think it also could be like it's probably not wise going to downtown San Diego at 10 o'clock at night because you're trying to get food or something with your family. It's, like putting yourself in situations where it may not be wise.
Hmm. That's a very good point. That's a very
Yeah.
good point. Um, or somebody who has a license to conceal and carry. That doesn't mean that they have to go out into the middle of a high crime place district looking for trouble.
Right.
Yeah, all of those things are pretty much make sense that they're everyday routine things that we do. Uh, everybody who knows me knows I like to drive around in my convertible, but there's certain parts of town that I'm not going to be driving around in the middle of the night, stopping at stoplights and stuff with my top down. That'd be kind
Yeah.
of goofy. But there are lots of things that we need to do that require wisdom to avoid harm.
Mhm.
Timing is everything. The time to charm that should be a snake is at the beginning before it has a chance to bite you. The babbler, a fool, tries doing a wise thing at the wrong time. This would be likened to closing the barn door after a cow has gotten out. Um, have you ever noticed that people who are foolish have an awful lot to say?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You ask them, you're doing an investigation, you ask somebody, and all of a sudden they just pour out like a flood of information. Um, you almost know that something is wrong with that the person doesn't know what they're talking about.
Right.
Let's look at 12 to 20. These words of a wise man's mouth are gracious, but the lips of a fool shall swallow him up. The words of his mouth begin with foolishness, and the end of his talk is raving madness. A fool also multiplies words. No man knows what it is to be. Who can tell him what will be after him? The labor of fools wearies them, for they do not even know how to go to the city. Woe to you, O land, when the king is a child and your princes feast in the morning. Blessed are you, O land, where your king is the son of nobles and your prince feasts at the proper time for the strength and not for drunkenness. Because of laziness, the buildings decays, and though idleness of hands, the house leaks. At least a feast is made for laughter, and wine makes merry, but money answers everything. That's very confusing. And
Yeah.
do not curse the king, even if you thought, do not curse the rich, even if your bedroom, for a bird of the air may carry your voice, and a bird in flight may tell the matter.
Mm. What? What?
Hang on. So let's stop and we'll go and meet over on the other side because we're getting close to time where the meeting's going to shift. I'll see you in a little bit.
Oh.